Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Andrew Fort, and we're here for part 8 of a 13-part series as we journey chapter by chapter through Stardust by Neil Gaiman. So, what happened in this chapter? It begins when Septimus, brother of Primus, happens upon the inn and Primus's dead body. It turns out that, yes, Septimus is to be the 82nd Lord of Stormhold, but he still needs to get the amulet. Without the amulet, he cannot assume that power. Then Primus's ghost chimes in to tell Septimus that he should also avenge his death against that bitch who slit my gullet. Letting us know that the witch still lives. Cut to Star and Tristan, who are on, of course, a cloud, because that is what happens in tales such as these. And we get this. Well, Tristan said, after some time, I've made rather a mess of everything. The Star sat on the cloud beside him, wearing the robe she had borrowed from the woman in the inn, with a broken leg, stretched out on the thick mist in front of her. You saved my life, she said eventually, didn't you? I suppose I must have done, yes. I hate you, she said. I hated you for everything already, but now I hate you most of all. Because stars are emo and melodramatic, of course, but also because, quote, because, she told him in her voice taut, now that you have saved my life, you are, by the law of my people, responsible for me, and I for you. Where you go, I must also go. Which will become important later in the story because it is a plot device that is needed to explain the relationship in the latter half of this chapter between the Star and Tristan. The Witch Queen kept the unicorn, and in this chapter she removes its head and holds a video conference with her sisters, because that seems to be what witches do. In this video conference with her sisters, she learns that the Star is indeed headed to Wall with Tristan. In Wall, she will revert to nothing more than her rock form. Cut back to the cloud. Tristan is shouting receiverless hellos. And suggests, after taking Yvain, the Star, we learn that the Star's name is Yvain. After taking Yvain to Victoria, they could get her back in the sky to shine. She says that is impossible, does Yvain. Says that it's impossible to go back to the way that she was. She is now how she is to be. Then one of Tristan's receiverless, seemingly useless hellos shouted pointlessly into the sky from a cloud. Well, it's answered, because of course it is. It's answered by a passing ship, a cloud ship. Presumably, once the Star is on board, it will become a starship. It is the ship of Captain Johannes Alberic, aboard the Perdita's lightning hunting expedition. Of course. It turns out that ship that happens upon them while they are shouting receiverless hellos into the sky from a cloud, it is captained by friends of the hairy little fellow from a few chapters ago. I don't know if you remember him, surely, right? Because nothing about this is random. They drop Tristan and Yvain off, and the two hike toward Wall for some time, and eventually, one night, Yvain sings. Much to the delight of Tristan, Tristan seems to have reached the pinnacle of his existence by hearing the Star sing. And a bit later, they meet an old woman with a bird. And Tristan promises that they will help get her to Wall as well. The two make a spit oath. Spit on the ground, the old lady stomps into it, making sure that the oath is to be binding and forever. Because that's what spit oaths do, don't you remember? The old woman then turns Tristan into a mouse. I mean, it all makes just as much sense as the last part. The witch, though, turns out she can't see Yvain. Everything that Yvain says and does is invisible to the witch. I've only got a couple things to talk about here from this chapter. All the stuff going on, it seems necessary to look at what's going on here. The Lords of Stormhold, the potential Lords of Stormhold, they are after power, and they all kill each other until just one remains. The witches, who are pursuing the star in search of youth, they invest in a single sister to help all of them. So you have power, which kills itself until one remains. You have the search for youth, which invests in a single one to take action. And then you have Tristan, who is after the star in search of love. Finds one individual with which to endure the journey. So I think that is, it's interesting that the only group that grows is the group that is after love as opposed to power or youth. Youth could be, I think, transposed with beauty. It just depends on how you want to look at things in this story. And then on 179, we get a passage which I think we probably want to keep an eye on going forward. After we're done with what I need, got you back to Wall. This is coming to us from Tristan. After we're done with what I need, got you back to Wall, given you to Victoria Foster, perhaps we could do what you need. And the star replies, what I need? Well, you want to go back, don't you, up into the sky, to shine again at night? So we can sort that out. She looked up at him and shook her head. That doesn't happen, she explained. Stars fall. They don't go back up again. You could be the first, he told her. You have to believe. Otherwise, it will never happen. And she says, it will never happen, she told him. No more than your shouting is going to attract anyone up there where there isn't anyone. It doesn't matter if I believe or not. That's just the way things are. So we already know that Tristan's receiverless hellos fall upon a receiver who shows up in order to help. Here we have the hopeless star saying that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you try to put me up in the sky. It doesn't matter if I want to go back up in the sky. It does not matter if I believe I will get back up in the sky. That doesn't matter. It is just as pointless to do that as it is for you to shout your receiverless hellos. But at this point, we know that those receiverless hellos were received. And the wishes with which Tristan sent out those hellos were fulfilled. It has never been done before, the star says, of going back into the sky. It has never been done before. No one has ever fallen from the sky. No star has ever fallen from the sky and then gone back. You have to believe she's going to be the first. Just like Tristan is undoubtedly the first person to shout hellos from a cloud and be answered. So that is all I have for this chapter 8 of Stardust. I hope to have you back next time for chapter 9. It is a much briefer chapter than was chapter 8. It is just 11, 12 pages, something like that. So, yeah, be interested in knowing how you're feeling so far about Stardust. This is my first interaction with Neil Gaiman's writing. Don't know how I feel about it. Not particularly taken by the writing, not particularly taken by the storytelling, not particularly taken by the characters involved. But we're going to carry forward. We're going to finish. We're going to review it. And I'll probably even do a XY minutes on Stardust's opening paragraph. I've got a playlist for opening paragraphs here on the channel as well. I hope to see you next time.